I caught her cheating with my own eyes, not in a hotel, not in some fancy apartment, but in the back alley behind a fast food dumpster, tangled up with a sewer maintenance worker. I stood there frozen, watching everything I thought was real collapse. But trust me, that was only the beginning. I wasn't even supposed to be there that day. It was supposed to be her birthday dinner. I had spent 2 weeks planning it, picking the right restaurant, the right flowers, the perfect gift, a gold bracelet she once pointed at months ago, thinking I had forgotten. I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted to see her smile like she used to. I parked 2 blocks away from her office, balancing the bouquet in one hand and the gift bag in the other. I didn't want her to see me coming. I wanted it to be special. When I turned onto her street, I noticed her car wasn't in the parking lot where she usually left it. Strange. Maybe she left early? Maybe she was running errands before dinner? That's when I spotted her. Not walking, not shopping, but pressed against the wall behind a crumbling fast food joint, half hidden by a rusted dumpster. At first, I didn't even recognize her. She was wearing the bright red jacket I had bought her last Christmas, the one she said made her feel safe. It stood out like a beacon against the gray wall. And then I saw who she was with. A man, maybe 40, maybe older, in dirty navy blue overalls. His back was to me, but even from a distance, I could see the grime caked on his clothes, the heavy work boots stained with something dark and foul. I stopped dead in my tracks, the flowers slipping from my hand. They were laughing. She tilted her head back, smiling that carefree smile I thought was mine alone. He pinned her wrists above her head with one hand, while the other roamed places I once touched, places I thought were sacred between us. I wanted to scream, to run, to cry, but I just stood there, paralyzed. My heart wasn't beating anymore. It was sinking. After what felt like forever, they finally pulled apart. She smoothed her hair down, kissed him on the cheek, and adjusted her jacket like nothing had happened. Like it was normal. Like I didn't exist. I couldn't move. I must have made a sound, a sharp gasp, a sob, something, because she suddenly looked up. Our eyes met. Her smile didn't fade immediately. In fact, she looked confused for a second. Then, when recognition hit her, she smiled wider. Not in apology, not in regret, in amusement. She turned to the man, said something I couldn't hear, and they both laughed a hard, cruel, the kind of laughter you never forget. I dropped the gift bag too. The bracelet tumbled out, gleaming against the dirty asphalt. She saw it. She saw everything. And she didn't even flinch. I stumbled backward, turned, and ran, like a scared little boy, not a man. My chest burned. My face was wet, but I didn't know if it was rain or tears. All I knew was that I had seen it with my own eyes. No excuses. No doubts. She chose him. She chose that. And the worst part? I still wanted to believe there was a way back. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor of my apartment, surrounded by the wreckage of the evening, the crushed flowers, the ruined bracelet, the unanswered texts I had sent before I knew. She didn't call. She didn't text. Nothing. Like I never existed. Around noon the next day, when I was still too numb to think straight, the doorbell rang. For a moment, my heart stupidly leapt. Maybe she came to explain? To beg? To say it was a mistake? I opened the door. There she was, Marissa, the woman I loved. Same bright eyes, same soft skin. And she was smiling. Not the way you smile when you see someone you love. No, the way you smile when you see someone pathetic. Can we talk? She asked sweetly, like she hadn't ripped my world apart 12 hours earlier. I stepped back to let her in. My hands were shaking. She walked in like she owned the place, like nothing had changed. Dropped her purse on the table. Kicked off her shoes. Flopped down on the couch. I guess you saw more than I wanted you to, she said casually. I stood there, speechless. She chuckled, flipping her hair over her shoulder. Come on, Michael. Don't act like you didn't see this coming. You've been boring. Predictable. The words hit harder than fists. I thought you loved me, I stammered. She laughed. Full, sharp, cruel. I loved what you gave me. The dinners. The gifts. The trips. You made life easy, Michael. But excitement? Passion? She shrugged. You can't buy that with a bracelet. I felt like I was shrinking right there in my own living room. I would have forgiven you, I said, my voice cracking. That made her laugh even harder. Forgive me? For what? For wanting more than this. She gestured at me like I was some pathetic dog begging for scraps. I tried to hold back the tears. I tried so hard. But she saw. And she loved it. God, you're so easy to fool, she said, standing up and walking toward me. You trust too much. You believe too much. It's actually embarrassing. She poked my chest with one perfectly manicured finger. You're weak, Michael. That's why I had to find someone else. I looked at her, broken, and she smiled wider. He might smell like a sewer, but at least he makes me feel alive. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. You're going to be fine, she said in a mock sympathetic tone, patting my cheek like I was a child. You'll find some sweet little girl who actually thinks boring is cute. She turned to leave, grabbing her purse. Oh, she added at the door, you should probably cancel the wedding venue. Unless you want to cry about it in front of everyone too. And then she was gone. The door clicked shut behind her, and the silence that followed was heavier than anything I had ever known. I stood there for a long time, ashamed, broken, still wishing, somehow, that she would come back, still wanting her, and hating myself for it. I spent the next few days like a ghost. Work didn't matter. Food didn't matter. Nothing mattered. I replayed her words over and over in my head, the laughter, the mocking tone, the way she touched my face like I was some pitiful creature she had outgrown. You're weak, Michael. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was pathetic. But somewhere in that pit of shame and misery, something else started to stir. Not anger, not at first. No, it was colder than anger. It was clarity. I had spent years building a future with Marissa, building a life around trust, devotion, love. She tore it apart in a dirty alley behind a dumpster and laughed while I stood there bleeding. And what did I do? I cried. I begged. I let her humiliate me again. No more. If she wanted to see what weakness looked like, I would show her what strength was, but not the way she expected. I wasn't going to scream or fight or trash her name in public. That would only make me look crazier, feed the story she was already telling people about the pathetic ex. No, I was going to make her regret everything, quietly, deeply, permanently. First, I made a list. Not a list of insults. A list of assets. Everything Marissa valued. Her new job at the fancy spa in town. Her part-time modeling gigs. Her growing Instagram following, where she posted carefully curated photos pretending to live a glamorous life she barely afforded. Her new relationship with the sewer worker, I found out his name was Kyle, wasn't about love. It was rebellion. It was attention. She lived for how people perceived her. And that was the lever I was going to pull. I started small. I gathered evidence. Screenshots of her text when we were engaged, the ones where she promised loyalty, devotion, love forever. Photos of us together she posted proudly, captions dripping with declarations of true love. I matched the timelines against the dates she cheated, receipts, tagged photos, locations. I created a private digital file, organized meticulously. No lies. No exaggerations. Just facts. Then I made fake accounts, ones she wouldn't recognize. Followers that looked real enough. Fitness coaches, spa brands, photographers. Accounts that quietly slid into her world without setting off alarms. I wasn't ready to strike yet. First, I needed to understand how she moved, what she wanted now that she had thrown me away. I spent hours watching her new posts, reading the comments she responded to, seeing which companies she tried to tag for sponsorships. Marissa wanted fame. Even in our town, where fame meant a few thousand followers and some free products, she craved it. She needed it. And nothing in the world terrifies a woman like Marissa more than public humiliation. I wasn't going to touch her physically. I wasn't going to yell. I was going to let her destroy herself. All I had to do was give the right people the right truths at the right time. And the cracks would spread until everything she built collapsed, piece by piece, like she did to me. It started with her Instagram. Marissa loved her online image more than anything else. Every day it was a new post, a green smoothie here, a yoga pose there, a perfectly staged coffee shot captioned with something like grateful for growth and good vibes only. All fake. And I was about to show the world how fake. Using one of my burner accounts, I compiled the evidence carefully. Screenshots of her committed relationship posts with me, timestamped just days, sometimes hours, before she met Kyle behind that dumpster. Pictures she posted from our weekend trips overlapped with motel receipts from the same dates under her name. I didn't post it publicly. Not yet. I sent it quietly. To the brands she had been desperately tagging. The ones she had been trying to get sponsorships from. Subject line. Potential brand partner conduct concerns. Attached were the screenshots. Date matched. Clear. Cold. No angry words. No accusations. Just a polite note. As someone who cares about your brand's reputation, I thought you should know the full story of someone currently trying to represent you. The first to drop her was a local athletic wear company. She had been trying to become their ambassador, wearing their leggings in every other post. I knew it because she had bragged about it to me before everything fell apart. 3 days after my email, she posted a story, bright and chipper as always. Excited for big news soon. But the next day, another story. No words. Just a black screen and a broken heart emoji. I knew why. They had emailed her back. A polite, corporate kiss-off. No partnerships at this time. Thank you for your interest. I wasn't done. Next, I hit the spa where she worked. Marissa wasn't a full-time employee. She was a contracted beauty consultant. Her image mattered as much as her skills. I sent another polite anonymous tip to the spa's management team. Subject line: concerns regarding brand representation and client trust. This time, I attached not just the cheating evidence, but screenshots from her private Finsta account, the one my tech-savvy friend helped me uncover. Captions where she mocked clients, joked about upselling the dumb ones, and posted selfies with captions like smiling while I mentally scream. The spa prided itself on being a luxury, customer-first experience. I knew they couldn't afford a scandal. 2 days later, Marissa posted another black screen. No emojis this time. Just silence. And then, whispers. I started hearing things through mutual acquaintances. She's not working there anymore. She's taking a break. She's going through something. The cracks were spreading faster than even I had imagined. And yet, she still didn't know it was me. To her, the world was just collapsing around her randomly, unfairly. And that made it sweeter. For the first time since the night I caught her, I could breathe again. The tight, suffocating weight on my chest started to lift. I wasn't weak anymore. I wasn't just surviving. I was winning. And Marissa? She was falling exactly like she made me fall. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't be long before she fought back. She wasn't the kind of woman to surrender. She would come for me. I just didn't know how brutal her counterattack would be. I should have seen it coming. I had struck first. Quietly, surgically. I'd taken away her image, her income, her influence. I thought she'd panic. I thought she'd spiral. But no, Marissa didn't break. She recalculated. It started with my phone vibrating at 6:13 a.m., a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. But then it vibrated again. And again. 3 times in a row. That's never good. When I finally checked the messages, my heart sank. It wasn't just spam. It was a number from HR. My job. Someone had filed an official report accusing me of harassment, emotional manipulation, and online stalking behaviors. The name wasn't attached. But the wording? The timeline? It was her. Marissa knew where I worked. She knew who to contact. And most of all, she knew exactly what words to use to sound like a victim. By noon, I was pulled into a meeting with HR. They were polite, professional. But I saw it in their eyes: doubt. Suspicion. Have you contacted this woman in the last 30 days? They asked. No. I answered truthfully. We haven't spoken since she left. Have you engaged in any online activity that could be considered threatening or retaliatory? I paused. That's where she had me. Technically, no. I hadn't posted anything publicly. I hadn't sent any messages. But if they traced any of the burner accounts back to me, even one, they'd think I was guilty. I played it safe. No, nothing like that. They nodded, but they weren't convinced. I left the meeting with a knot in my stomach. And it only got worse that night. A friend I hadn't spoken to in weeks, Derek, sent me a screenshot. It was a post from Marissa's new private account. She had accepted him months ago and forgot all about it. The post? A picture of a court document. A temporary restraining order. Filed against me. The caption read, "This isn't easy to share, but I won't stay silent. No woman should be afraid to walk home. No woman should be harassed for leaving a toxic relationship." I stayed quiet to protect him. Not anymore. Thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments. Support. Sympathy. People offering her places to stay, asking if she was okay, telling her she was so brave. My name wasn't on the post. But everyone knew. It was me. She didn't just hit back. She flipped the whole narrative. Suddenly, I was the abuser. The dangerous one. The man she escaped. And because I had played my game so quietly, I had no proof to defend myself. No evidence that she cheated. No public story of my own. No witnesses. Just silence. And now, silence looked guilty. I lost 2 brand projects at work that same week. One partner pulled out of our team deal, saying they needed to reassess PR risks. No official firing. No formal charges. Just erosion. Exactly how I started with her. Only now, I was the one losing ground. She was learning from me, and she was catching up. I spent the next 3 days in silence. No posts, no messages, no panic. I knew she wanted me to crack, to lash out, to respond publicly, to make one wrong move that proved her story. But I didn't give her that. I gave her stillness. Because while she paraded around with her false bravery and her fake trauma, I was digging. I needed something that would go beyond gossip, beyond smear campaigns. I needed something real. And I found it, buried in an old email archive I hadn't touched in months. Back when Marissa and I were still planning the wedding, she begged me to co-sign on a line of credit. Just for emergencies, she said. Just in case the venue required a deposit or the dress boutique changed their policy. She sent over the paperwork. I signed it, but something felt off. So I opened the documents again, now, months later, and looked closer. 2 different applications. 2 different loan numbers. Only one had my signature. The other? Forged. Badly. She had taken the original PDF, copy-pasted my signature from another form, and applied for an additional $9,000. It was still active, and unpaid, in my name. I felt my hands clench around the printed paper. This wasn't just personal anymore. This was criminal. I took everything to my lawyer. The original email, the duplicate form, the loan statements, and screenshots from her texts, bragging about her new money back when I still thought we were saving together. My lawyer's reaction? You realize you could press felony fraud charges, right? I nodded. Want to? I didn't answer right away, because I didn't just want justice anymore. I wanted leverage. So I played it smarter this time. We filed a formal dispute with the loan company and sent them the forged signature proof. That alone triggered an internal investigation, one that froze the account immediately. Then, I submitted a fraud affidavit with the local DA's office, quietly, without public noise. My lawyer insisted on the paper trail. If she escalates again, you'll need a defense, she said. And then, the final move. I contacted 2 of the wellness brands that had recently started resharing Marissa's new healing content. The ones that were reposting her stories about surviving narcissistic abuse. Subject line: due diligence material on one of your featured creators. I included links to the active fraud case, redacted copies of the forged loan, and a screenshot of her smiling next to the man she cheated with. Posted just 1 week after she filed her harassment claims. The effect? Immediate. Both brands deleted her from their pages. And the best part? She didn't know it was me. She posted another vague story that night. A photo of a wine glass and the words, "Even strong girls break sometimes." I watched in silence. And waited. Because she was slipping. And I was rising. 1 move at a time. Her lies built a tower. And I was pulling bricks from the bottom. Just when I thought I had control, she reminded me who I was dealing with. Marissa didn't fight fair. She didn't punch back. She made you bleed with a smile on her face and convinced everyone else that you fell on your own. It started with a knock at my door. I opened it to find 2 uniformed officers standing there. "Michael Reynolds?" the taller one asked. "Yes. You've been named in a complaint regarding harassment and possible identity misuse. We'd like you to come with us to answer a few questions." It wasn't an arrest. Not yet. But it didn't matter. They walked me past my neighbors. Past the mailboxes. Past the kid with the skateboard who used to wave at me every morning. Everyone stared. No one spoke. The police didn't cuff me. They didn't need to. The damage was already done. At the station, I sat across from a female officer who read through a thick stack of documents. Screenshots. Texts. IP logs. Apparently, Marissa had gone to the police with evidence of multiple online accounts harassing her, impersonating brand reps, and sabotaging her career. Most were untraceable. But one burner account had been tied to my home Wi-Fi. That was enough. They couldn't prove I had done it maliciously, but they could open a formal investigation. I walked out 6 hours later, not in handcuffs, but with a notice. I was now officially part of an open cyber harassment inquiry. When I got home, my work email had already been suspended, and my inbox? Full of messages from clients asking why I had disappeared. Marissa had done it. She waited for the right moment, built the right paper trail, and then pounced. She didn't care about justice. She cared about optics. She didn't need to destroy me in court. She just needed enough smoke to make people assume there was fire. I tried to call my lawyer. No answer. She emailed me an hour later, polite, cold, professional. Due to the potential conflict regarding digital misconduct, I have to recuse myself until this matter is clarified. I'll forward your file to a colleague. Translation? You're radioactive now. That night, Marissa posted a video. Her face pale, makeup smeared just enough to seem real. She sat on her couch, lit by soft lamplight. She spoke calmly. I didn't want to do this publicly, she began, but I've been harassed for months. Lied about. Followed. My career destroyed, not by a stranger, but by someone who used to promise me forever. She never said my name. She didn't have to. The comments exploded with support. People offered money, resources, therapy referrals. Someone even tagged a nonprofit offering her legal support. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was winning. I closed the video halfway through. I couldn't take it. Everything I had built, everything I tried to recover, everything I thought made me strong again, she took it all in one strike. And the worst part? She did it with a camera and a tear. Not a gun. Not a knife. Just a story. And suddenly, I was the monster again. I was cornered. Labeled. Disgraced. The world saw me as a villain in a story I hadn't even written. But in the silence of my suspended job, with my name attached to a harassment investigation I didn't deserve, I remembered something. I had something she didn't. Receipts. Literal ones. Digital ones. Hidden ones. While she posted her tears and hashtags, I pulled open the hard drive I hadn't touched since the day she walked out. And that's where I found the folder I'd labeled untouched. Inside, every receipt she ever left lying around, every shared banking document, her old iCloud login I'd helped her recover and forgot to delete from my notes. It still worked. God help her, it still worked. What I found wasn't just petty. It was evidence. Months before we broke up, while we were still planning the wedding, Marissa had taken money from our joint account, my deposits, and transferred it into a secondary account under a false business name. The business? A fake wellness blog. The recipient? Her new boyfriend, Kyle. I dug deeper. The PayPal transactions matched dates where she claimed to be paying for wedding items, the cake, the venue deposit, even the photographer. She had lied. She had used our wedding fund to bankroll a man who cleaned sewage and bragged about it on TikTok. I saved every log, every IP address, every redirect. Then I pulled the biggest nail from the coffin, a video. An old one, buried in her cloud backups. Marissa, in the same red jacket she wore the day I caught her. Sitting in a car, laughing, talking to Kyle. Her words? He's still buying it. Told me he's picking out cufflinks today. Poor thing has no idea he's funding your next car. Kyle snorted. Don't feel bad. He's a chump. Marissa, that's why I picked him. That video changed everything. I sent it quietly to the fraud investigator handling my open case. No press. No posts. Just raw truth. And 3 days later, everything turned. The investigation into me? Dropped. No apology, of course. Just a bland email. Due to new evidence, the inquiry has been concluded without further action. My HR rep called the next day. Michael, we're so sorry for the misunderstanding. You've been reinstated immediately. But the biggest blow wasn't internal. It was legal. My new lawyer, the one who took over after the last one bailed, filed a civil fraud suit against Marissa. With the financial records. With the video. With everything. And unlike her accusations, mine had proof. She went quiet for 3 days. No stories. No posts. No hashtags. Then I got an email. Not from her. From Kyle. Short. Sloppy grammar. You messed up her life, man. She's not eating. Hope it was worth it. I didn't respond. Because for the first time since the dumpster, since the laughter, since she called me weak, I wasn't the one crying anymore. It was quiet for a week. Too quiet. No videos. No posts. No rants from Kyle. Not even another fake tearful live stream from Marissa. I should have known. She wasn't retreating. She was regrouping. I found out through a call from my new lawyer. You've been countersued, she said. Defamation. Emotional distress. Harassment. I just sat there in silence. She's claiming your fraud case was retaliatory, that you leaked the video to harm her reputation. She recorded it herself, I said flatly. I know, my lawyer replied. But the court doesn't care about truth right now. They care about narrative. Marissa's complaint was over 40 pages long, packed with screenshots, timelines, carefully worded claims. She had scrubbed her social media, deleted the Finsta, wiped every public trace, and now she was reinventing herself again. But not as a victim this time. as a survivor who fought back. She gave one last interview to a local digital magazine about resilience in the face of betrayal. They didn't name me, but they mentioned a disgraced ex with a failed smear campaign. Her Instagram returned 2 days later. Fresh, curated, reborn. Clean photos. Long captions. Apologies to her followers for the silence. Pledges to move forward with grace. The comments? Flooded with sympathy. You're so strong. Justice always wins. I hope that monster finally leaves you alone. My name was never mentioned, but I was everywhere between the lines. And then came the final blow. The court temporarily froze my personal account, the one I used to pay my rent, my bills, everything until the defamation countersuit was sorted. Just like that, I was back where I started. Pinned. Cornered. Beaten. But then, that email. The same anonymous account that had sent me the motel video months ago. Subject line. Check this. No message. Just one PDF. It was a scan of a signed document. A notarized agreement between Marissa and Kyle. It was dated 3 weeks before she sued me, and it detailed a payment, $2,000, to Kyle, in exchange for one thing, public cooperation and silence regarding past financial activity with Marissa, including transfers, payments, and video content. A payoff. She paid him to disappear, to keep his mouth shut, to let her rewrite the story. It was real. The signature matched. The notary was valid. And the money? It matched a transfer I'd already seen in her bank statements. It was the mistake she never thought I'd see. The flaw in her perfect little narrative. She was winning, yes. But now? Now I had something better than revenge. I had her cornered. Truly. Finally. And she had no idea what was coming. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the document, the payoff agreement, like it was a live bomb in my hands. I could end her. Not just hurt her reputation. Not just make her lose a job or a few sponsorships. I could destroy everything she built, everything she lied for. Legally, publicly, permanently. I had already drafted the motion with my lawyer, ready to file an amended fraud complaint attaching the payoff as new evidence. Ready to launch a second, far bigger case that would pull her into criminal court, ruin her career, shatter her new image beyond repair. All it would take was hitting send. Just one click. One. And then a knock at the door. I checked the peephole. It was her. Marissa. No cameras. No phone in her hand. Just Marissa standing there, arms limp at her sides, hair a mess, eyes swollen. I should have left her standing there. I should have ignored her. But I opened the door. She didn't say anything at first. She just dropped to her knees on the doorstep. Literally on her knees. Tears already running down her face before she even spoke. Please, she whispered. Please don't do it. She reached into her purse and pulled out a crumpled envelope. Shoved it toward me with shaking hands. Inside, a check. Every penny she owed me. Loan repayments. Court costs. Everything. I'll pay it all, she sobbed. I'll sign whatever you want. Just, please, don't ruin me. She pressed her forehead against the threshold of the door like she couldn't even bear to look at me. I know what I did. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I'll disappear. You'll never hear from me again. I swear. Please. Please. She said please 7 times before she even took a breath. I stood there, frozen, because part of me had dreamed of this moment, seeing her broken, begging, knowing she finally realized what she threw away. But another part of me, the part she never understood, still hated what this had all become. This wasn't justice anymore. This was wreckage. For both of us. I looked down at her, this girl who once owned my heart, then crushed it, and now sat shattered in front of me. And I realized something. I didn't need to destroy her. I already won. I stepped back, took the envelope, closed the door without saying a word. And as the lock clicked, I felt it. Closure. Not because she deserved it. Because I deserved to move on. I deserved peace. She sobbed on the other side of the door for a long time. But I didn't open it again. I didn't need to. The war was over. And as I sat down in the dark, the crumpled envelope still in my hand, I asked myself, what would you have done?